Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Scoop on K-State, a show featuring leaders and alumni of Kansas State University and our efforts to become a next-gen land-grant university. I'm pleased to introduce our guest today, Avery Johnson, one of our outstanding student leaders who has served the past year as one of our 2 student ambassadors here at K-State. In this role, Avery has represented the student body at the K-State Alumni Association events throughout Kansas and other university activities. She's a senior from Beloit, Kansas, who is studying human development and family science. Thank you for joining us, Avery.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Walker, for having me here today. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, and I'm sad Andrew can't be here. He's my co-ambassador, so usually I'm not a one-man band. Usually I have someone next to me who's ready to chat away, but if there's one thing you know about me, talking is one of my favorite things and never an issue, so this should be fun.
Yep. Andrew's our other student ambassador is unfortunate not to be able to be here today. He's a student teaching first graders.
Yes, a first grade. And it's kind of like baptism by fire today, I think, because it's his actual first day of student teaching. And he just is the most patient person of all time because I think first graders might be my worst nightmare, but he's going to be perfect.
Oh, that'd be a lot of fun. So we want to kick this off. Can't go any further. Avery Johnson, you also share this famous name. We actually featured you this fall in the K-Stater.
Yes.
You're one of 4 or 5.
There's 4 of us. So there's 3 girls, and then, of course, football player Avery Johnson. But with one of the girls, what was so interesting is we actually have the same middle name. So we are both Avery Elizabeth Johnsons, and K-State has this whole scholarship program where you come, the fall of your senior year, and you kind of do some of high school and you do some interviews. And I remember my mom walking in, she said, "Avery, I think that girl has your name tag." And I was like, what are you talking about? Avery E. Johnson? There's no way that's happening. And for the next 4 years, we've had a lot of fun run-ins, a lot of fun experiences, packages, going to each other's dorm rooms, emails getting sent to the wrong professors. So we've become good friends. But that was just, in the first 2 years. And then, of course, my sophomore year, football player Avery Johnson came, and that was a whole new whirlwind of what it's like to have someone who has the same name as you, and what seemingly is a really small university, amongst 20,000 other students. So
yeah, I think you told me a story one time you went to Chipotle,
yes.
And you had your hoodie up,
yes,
and you walk in, they're like, "Hey, it's Avery Johnson."
Well, that's it's everyone's worst nightmare. Like you go into Chipotle, late at night, you just had a whole day of hanging out on the couch. You hope you see no one and there's a whole group of fraternity men, sitting in the corner, and as a sophomore 19-year-old girl, you're like, "Oh, please, no one see me. I run and I grab the bag and I'm ready to head out, and I hear, "I knew it was her. I knew it wasn't going to be him." And that was the first time I was like, maybe I need to start changing my name to not say Avery Johnson so a lot, if I go to Starbucks or if I go to Chick-fil-A, anything online, I do a lot of Avery J now. So it's a little safer to have those run-ins, but it's been funny.
That's pretty wild. And the other Avery Johnson, you're talking about one of the female versions, you actually lived on the same street or a block away?
Well, that's what I got
wild.
an email, and it was from our landlord, and he was talking about stuff, renovations to our house, things like that. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I email him back, and we are next door neighbors. And it was, so you can imagine who's paid rent, who hasn't paid rent, who, who's getting this mail. And even sometimes I'm like, it can't be that hard. Like you just get the numbers right. It's not that big of a deal. The other day, I accidentally emailed her something that I meant to remind myself email myself. I'm like, when you make your own mistake, you have to have so much empathy for those that do the same, because it's always a funny adventure. That was
a great story. People really enjoyed that. So you're from Beloit. Tell us about how you grew up a Wildcat.
Absolutely. So both my parents graduated from K-State. I'm actually a 3rd-generation Wildcat, so my grandpa came here. He was the president of Lambda Chi during his time, and he then went on to school to be a pharmacist. And then both my parents came here. My mom was in Greek life as well, and my dad got an ag econ degree here at K-State. And so, honestly, to be so real, everyone always says, your junior, senior year of high school, you go tour. I'm sure you're going to experience that here with Addie in the next few years. Look at all these different universities. I never did. I knew K-State was the one for me, and so I never even toured. I just enrolled because for my time when I was a kid, it always felt like home. It was so fun to, travel through campus and see, Bluemont Halls where my mom spent so much of her time, and how she met, her bridesmaids and her lifelong friends, and that connection of coming here on Saturdays and watching football. I knew that was an atmosphere that I could really see myself thriving in, and so I mean, there was no other question when it came to choosing K-State.
It's kind of like me. Both my brothers went here, so I kind of grew up on campus.
Yes.
And I was a missions rep. I told students, you need to take a visit, even if you know K-State, even though I didn't. So,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I just knew I was coming here.
That's exactly what I do, because I'm like, just come see it. Because, if there's one thing that you can win people over, as long as you get students on campus, they know it's the spot for them. And so I maybe didn't follow my own advice because I knew that from the jump. But, we get them here and they can see themselves fitting in so many facets. Like I could really see myself really, growing my potential in areas I didn't even know was a thing. Like when I came here, as a senior, 18 years old of high school, who would have known that student ambassador was such a big part of my life and changed so much to who I am and what I want to do and what the future looks like. And so, I mean, K-State has definitely changed the trajectory of who I am and what my next, paths look like.
Yeah. So that's a perfect segue. Let's talk a little bit about the history of Student Ambassador Program and what's the application selection process, and then how you felt when that came about.
Absolutely. So I think like going back Student Ambassador Program, it used to be like homecoming king and queen. So, they would, just like in high school, the student body would elect a homecoming king and queen. And then Amy Button-Renz was thinking about how can we use these influential people on campus, to the best of K-State's ability. And so we started to, those individuals who were selected kind of took a lot of the role of recruitment and admissions and, going out into our communities and bringing K-State to those, who maybe have never heard of it or had that family experience or that tie. And student ambassadors really looked into the admission. And then as it tied close to the Alumni Association, we all know, K-State is something that lasts forever. Even you were able to have your amazing experience here that looked a little bit different through athletics and through your times with admissions, but you were able to come back and really have K-State be, something that sticks with you forever. And so that's what the alumni portion part as a student ambassador is, us still being able to connect K-State back to, former students who still feel those huge connections. And that was one of my favorite parts of being student ambassador, is you were able to hear people, I mean, much like yours, you met your wife in Anderson Hall, you met these life-changing people who stick with you forever just because you have all of the same commonalities of what it means to be a K-Stater. And so how that process kind of looks like is you do a written application, and then a written application goes into a student panel. So a student panel asks you a few different questions about your knowledge and your experience and, what you can kind of bring to the table as an ambassador. And then finally we hit, the faculty panel. In my first year, it was the most terrifying experience of my life. It was Marty and Mary Vanier. It was Gene Taylor. It was Mike Finnegan. It was all of these big campus names.
You had a big panel.
I had a big panel my sophomore year. But then I was able to go through the experience and got to say those questions in front of at Panther Chant, WRL, and have the whole homecoming week. Homecoming at K-State is something that always will hold special. And then Elle and Ethan got to win that year, and they were such a perfect combo. And so it was fun to then reapply again my junior year after seeing some of my very close friends succeed in that role.
Yeah, and you were ready. Yeah, so we basically pare it down to 3 different, usually males, females, goes throughout the week, and then obviously at homecoming, you're selected. So what was that like when you heard your name?
I mean, it's unlike anything you will ever experience in your entire life. Well, I would say now it's a little bit different because you hear Avery Johnson at a football game and you're like, it's, you just passes by because his name is said so often. But when it's your name selected, you just think like you're in a different reality. Like, how can this experience and opportunity be, something that I get to participate in for the next year? And your heart sinks. And I think Andrew even talks about how he feels like he passed out a little bit because he was just standing there all shell shocked. And we brought him over, and it was so fun, especially to do this past year with Andrew. He was the best partner I could have ever asked for. And we learned so much, grew so much together, and got to do a lot of what we loved. It was so much fun.
That's what's neat, so great about the student ambassadors is you get to go out, travel a lot of times with us, and meet with prospective students and alumni and K-Staters, and really you're the student face for K-State, and so that's what's neat is you get to represent us. Let's talk about some favorite memories on the road, and I think we can share this now that you've completed it. So when we would go, a little secret.
I was wondering if you were going to say this. Yes.
That Alan Fankhauser doesn't know about.
I feel like if he knew about it, he might pass away.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It wasn't that crazy. But so what we did is, not every time, but usually before a major event, we'd all 3 speak. We'd come up with a word that we all had to say. And I think the first time we did it was convict.
Convict.
I
We had
think, like
convict.
prisoner?
We had
Yeah.
train. We had and he would.
Yeah.
Adam would use a word generator, and like it would come up with the most insane words
Right.
of all time. And somehow you were always able to do it. I would
know.
get too shy sometimes, but you always were able to do it.
So the goal was all three of us work the same word in our speeches, and you usually got away with it.
We got away
and
with
Alan
it.
didn't realize.
No,
He
no.
wasn't like, why were you up there saying random words? So,
We had to have some fun, and
that was fun.
if you know Alan, you know he's the most planned kind of guy there ever was, and so
Yep.
we always have to add some fun in his life with doing something like that. It was. Do you remember what your favorite word that we had to? I think convict is maybe.
Convict was up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, had to work that in.
Yeah.
That was tough.
You succeeded.
Yeah,
You did.
It was fun, though. So in addition to student ambassador, you're also a very engaged leader on campus. Kind of tell us a little bit about, what's it like as a current student at K-State these days, and then any advice for incoming students.
Absolutely. I would say as a current student, just the opportunity is endless. Like being able to come here. I'm someone who graduated with a class of 48 students. So my first lecture hall, the class I was in was, 2 times what my, regular class size would be, let alone, everyone around me I didn't know. They were new. They seemed like they were from bigger places. And I was like, how am I going to be able to find my spot in a place that is so new and so big? And that's what K-State really does, is it really kind of holds your hand through that beginning stages of where can we use our students in the best of our abilities. For me, being able to connect with others and people and, chatting all day long is something that I really love. And so finding my way to student alumni board and connecting with new students and alum and different prospective donors and things like that is something that was a big piece of my experience. But so many of my friends have found that same, inclusion as well as experiences and just their identity, whether it's in the College of Ag or engineering. K-State really gives you the ability to set up who you want to be and what you want your experience to have. And so I think that I don't know any other university that really takes chances on kids and allows them to drive what their future is going to look like and support them along each step of the way. And so I'd really encourage students who come here to take advantage of those opportunities, because you're never going to have a place where more people support you and more people are excited to see you succeed and more people want to give you those opportunities to kind of push you into the workforce and be such a productive member of whatever field you want to explore post K-State.
Yeah, it's amazing. The student experience, you're right. Some of the lecture halls are large, but the average is still 22, 24 students for an average class size still.
Absolutely.
And so you get the big, large Big 12 atmosphere with a small, friendly feel, that's what I love about K-State.
And it was so nice because my big classes were the ones that, it allowed me to meet my closest friends. You find your buddies in those classes. And like you said, it was those general classes that you start out with. And then once you get into your major and you kind of go down, it's 20, 25 students. And those students become your best friends. You travel from, Leisure Hall to Justin Hall to the business building, and we go back to back to back and just have the best time and really learn. And they always say like most of your learning happens outside of the classroom. And I feel like K-State does that to the best of its ability, because it gives you those life skills that you can teach a K-State or anything, but the personality skills and your ability to adapt and adjust is something that you really learn and you grow here.
And that's a really good point, because President Linton, part of our next gen strategic plan, is talking about applied learning as one of the imperatives, and so that's really important to make sure that we have an applied learning opportunity for every student, whether it be an internship or a project or something outside the classroom you're talking about. That's really important. That's what sets them up for success.
Absolutely.
So, and speaking of which, after graduation, what's the future hold for you?
Well, I'm kind of right in the middle of it. So right now is application season. I'm going to use Andrew again. He's really interested in going into higher ed. And so he's always tempting me and saying, Avery, come back to K-State, that's a dream in the end. And I think that's true. But right now I'm kind of want to stick with my ultimate dream, which was to go to law school. So I'm applying to law school right now with the hopes of some day bringing that back to K-State and really seeing how I can kind of give back in that same facet that some people gave to me. But currently writing the applications, and so many people who have mentored me along the way are helping me kind of to do so. But it's a scary feat, but it's been an exciting new step.
That's great. LSAT's done?
LSAT's done.
There you go.
Letter of recommendations are done. I wrote my personal statement the other day, so we're about signed, sealed, and delivered at this point.
That's great. Anything else you want to share?
Just that K-State has given me everything and more. I deeply appreciate you and the Alumni Association. Everyone there has almost become like a second family to me. We spend so much time there, and I think it's amazing to see the hard work and efforts that happen, between you and your staff, outside and behind of the events. No one really understands what that looks like until you get to see it kind of from the other side. But from, the Wabash Cannonball to all these different events that are hosted around the nation to, just our events, our 150th year in Manhattan, you really do have the best people working for you, and you're a fabulous leader to kind of really push the bar, and I'm really excited to see what K-State looks like and what the Alumni Association looks like here in the next 5 to 10 years.
I appreciate that. We got a great team, and what makes it so special are students like you. So getting you involved. So thanks so much for what you've done, what you continue to do for K-State. Really enjoyed working alongside you and just promoting and engaging with our members and the K-State family. So thanks for that, and we'll look forward to what the future holds for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now the favorite part of the podcast.
Okay.
Not only talking to you, but the scoop of ice cream.
Okay.
So you're going to tell us, it wouldn't be the scoop on K-State without Call Hall ice cream. So what's your flavor?
I chose Purple Pride. I
Big
think
surprise.
I know, big surprise. I feel like that's what everyone chooses, but I feel like as student ambassador, that's the only choice you can have.
Right.
That's my biggest selling point.
Yeah.
Like, if I can't get you to come to K-State,
Otherwise
to at
you'd be
least
barred.
Right. If you were to come to K-State, if I can't get you there to look around campus, I can at least get you there to try some Purple Pride. So that's always my go-to. Is you have to go here and try the Fan Classic, and it's been my favorite to not only share with so many people, but also as a connection point of, let's go get some Purple Pride, because
Absolutely.
that's exactly, it enables, and it is exactly what K-State is. It's tradition, and it's love for your university, and it's coming back and tying everything together.
Well, thanks so much, Avery. Appreciate it.
Yes.
That wraps up another episode of The Scoop on K-State. I'm Adam Walker, President and CEO of the K-State Alumni Association, and I want to thank you for watching and listening to our show. Until next time, be sure to share this podcast with your friends, family, and select that follow button on your podcast app so you'll never miss another episode. On behalf of the K-State Alumni Association, our staff, we're proud to be your connection to campus, and we value and appreciate your ongoing support and membership. If you're not currently a member, please consider joining. And of course, go Cats!